you can get your ego sucked into it. It can start to feed you like a monster. I was shocked to realize that people thought that I was the character. And I pulled him aside and I said, what's going on with this script? Why am I completely naked? What? Well, that is not what I auditioned for. I'd already caught him in several lies, and he managed to get me fired off all my children. These people have been conditioned to identify with me in such a way that it's almost Pavlovian. It's not worth stooping to levels just to have money and things that you later will regret.
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Come on in, sit on down. It's time for the live Q&A, our weekly session where we go over what's going on in the current times. What's the current thing? Let's discuss it a little bit. I give my 2 cents here and there, you know. And I'm actually 2 days late. The usual Wednesday show had to get cancelled, and it was a very last minute situation. Being the family man that I am, you know, I have 2 children, 2 lovely sons, one 3, one almost 4, one just turned 9 months not that long ago, on the way to 10. And yeah, he's teething hardcore right now. His fangs are coming through rather than his 2 front teeth. And I think he's been having a rough time with it over the past few nights, and he's just not been going to sleep. It's been taking hours to get him to sleep. He had a bit of a fuss earlier, but I've made it to 10 p.m. and it seems like he's out. He's out for the night. I think we're done. I think we're good to go. So I've just had to deal with fatherly duties over the past 2 nights. I've just had to cancel everything, drop everything, and just focus on that instead, rather than doing the usual work and live shows. And I've been so exhausted, I just had to take a day off. So that's all it is. So usually on a Friday, what I do in the morning is I prep videos for later in the week for Tuesday, so I can take Tuesday off just the right. And today I just had to go to the hospital, deal with some other things, some health issues, get my blood drawn, do some other stuff instead. And I figured, well, you know what? Why don't I just do the live show tonight instead? So a video's out on Friday like usual, and we just play catch up. Because for some odd reason, and I may have some new listeners tonight because of this, the random throwaway clip I chucked out last Tuesday talking about Labubu, the silly looking grinning monster doll, which was, by the way, just a 20-minute clip from the previous Sunday's live show, by the way. Just something I just chucked out on Tuesday. Just a quick clip from a live show. Why not? Just get it out there, you know. Then there's something out on Tuesday, whatever it is. And that went viral. It's on like 13,000 views all of a sudden within a few days. And with every day, a new wave of fresh, like, thousands of views kept coming in on that video. As though I'd posted a video a day. So it's kind of like a blessing in a way. Like I couldn't put anything out for like 4 days, and you know, as a self-employed person, this is how I make this is my bread and butter. You know, it's kind of like, what am I gonna do? I'm actually like, you know, when you don't work, you don't earn money. That's how being self-employed works. You know, but by the glory of God and a blessing, that video was acting as though a video a day was being put out through the views. So it's kind of like I was given permission to take some time. It's just the coincidence is just odd. The timing was just perfect. So it's all good. It's all good. It all worked out in the end. Why worry for the morrow? God's got you covered. You know, it seems to be how it goes. But that did bring a lot of extra subscribers to the channel. It was an interesting thing. It's a lot of people liked the take where I kind of loosely gave the Nephilim look like clown spiel, you know, and discussed the subtopic of the wild man in particular, which is something I've discussed a lot of, and it brought with it a lot of strange responses as well. I attracted to my channel the normies, shall we call them, those who just do not have a clue what we're on about or where we're coming from, just the non-conspiratorial type of people who like look upon our corner of the internet as like the schizo corner of wild, crazy people who are just completely detached from reality, and they were naturally giving those commentary towards my wild ramblings that one evening discussing the wild man of Europe and demons, bro. They were like, what the hell is it? Who's this lunatic, in the corner over here screeching? I just thought it was funny, some of the comments. You forget about those. We're in a bit of an echo chamber over here, and you forget what the outside world thinks of us sometimes, and that was just a healthy reminder of what we're up against, So I kind of enjoyed that a little bit, those comments. Some other comments were just from wild racist people saying that white people are demons, and these just represent white people, going on about the Neanderthal DNA nonsense. If you buy into evolutionary bullshit to begin with, then you inevitably end up a eugenicist. That's where it always ends up. And yeah, it turns out, white people are demons. So I got that crew coming in as well. I got people saying, this represents Cain, and I was like, well, maybe. I've done a bit of work on that, and there's precedence to say that Cain perhaps became hairy. Yes, I've discussed that as well, but I really do think the wild man of Europe is quite literally just a descendant of the original Nephilim. I think it's the Nephil and the Eliud, as discussed in the Book of Jasher. I think more likely that's what we're dealing with there. But obviously everyone wants to rush to it's either white people or the descendants of white people or descendants of Cain specifically. And as far as I'm aware, all the descendants of Cain were pretty much eradicated by the flood. So I don't think so. I think, if anything, they are the remnants of those who survived by the skin of their teeth due to their genetic manipulation, which took place just before the flood with the mixing of kinds. So I have a whole channel, a whole series dedicated to. I have a book written about why that's the case, but it just brought with it the evolutionary types, those type of conspiracy theorists who haven't quite grasped the concept yet that all of that's bullshit too, and they've been lied to about where we come from historically speaking, and denied the biblical narrative through and through. I just don't want anything to do with that, and it inevitably ends up being white people bad. That's where it seems to always go. It's odd. It's an odd one, but I just don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. I think there's zero precedence for that based on the biblical narrative. If you go off the secular evolutionary narrative, you'll end up somewhere like that maybe. But I think it's bunk. And today we're going to kind of talk about the secular narrative a little bit in this live show, because I've been diving into the hype surrounding this incoming foreign object that's just entered our solar system, supposedly, and it's just there on the edge coming in now, and its tail, it should be appearing as it comes closer to our star, the sun, and this giant ice ball, as they are officially calling it. That's what a comet is, dirty ice, basically. Gases are going to start flying off it as a tail appears as it gets closer to us. But, and here's the kicker, it's defying all convention as it gets closer, and it's baffling all scientists from every angle of every corner of the earth are looking at this, and even amateur to professional are like, what is this thing doing? It's not behaving as it should be. And I've been watching a plethora of videos on this. Coming and I've been watching all the people who come at this from the world view, that space is real, billions and trillions of stars, billions and trillions of light years away, and vast infinite space going on forever and ever, and it's this idea that this really is we are this ball hurtling through space at like hundreds of thousands of miles per hour while spiraling around in this crazy vortex pattern, and this object's really entered in and it's coming close now, and all from that perspective, and people know I believe in more of an enclosed system. I won't call myself a flat earther. I think that's a ridiculous phrase. Personally, I think it's a terrible thing, to be honest. But biblically speaking, I think whatever God created, it's enclosed. It's not vast, infinite, going on forever. It's small, enclosed within a confined space. That's what I think it is. And whatever that shape is, I don't know. I don't care. I think it's irrelevant as far as things go. I just know it's not what NASA's told us it is. And that's kind of my stance. And I think things start to make a hell of a lot more sense from a conspiratorial perspective when you start to really grasp that concept. So when we're looking at these objects from space that come close to us, and I'm out there watching the hype train just run off the rails, and everyone's like, it's either aliens or it's It's just simple space debris, you know, whatever that is. And I'm listening to them theorize and come up with these concepts and ideas to explain away what this thing is and what's going on. And you know, talking about the potential alien narrative, this is bringing closer and closer into the consciousness of the public mind. And it all just seems a bit silly, a bit convoluted and silly and contrived from this extremely out there conspiratorial view, which I think most of my listeners hold who are listening to me right now, you know. But when you just having to dip my toes back into that secular world where they really do see it as that, their frame really is vast infinite space, billions and trillions of stars and light years and life, possible life out there, and they're looking at it from that lens, and they really are in like a really insignificant fear mode. You can tell that's where they're at, you know, when they see these things happen, and they're losing sleep over it. It keeps them up at night. It's a phrase I heard a lot. The things that keep astronomers up at night, you know, they all seem to say it. I don't know why. That's their favorite phrase, because they really are being like, they're in a sense of like unknown fear. What is this? This thing is like thousands of like kilometers wide, traveling at like 40,000 kilometers per second, and it's billowing towards our solar system on the perfect like latitude parallel line with it and everything, and it's going to hide behind the sun, you know, by the time, and we won't be able to see it when it gets close to us, and at the same time we'll have a new moon perfectly aligned with it. They've got this like it's just so like it's behaving like anything else. It course corrected. This is impossible. We'll get into it. I'll show some videos. Okay, so I'm just giving like an overview of like the craziness that starts pumping out about these type of events, and they're saying like this is the third time this has ever happened, that humanity's ever documented something unusual like this entering our solar system. And we have is it a Muamua? I think they pronounce it, or something like this, or a Mau Mau, or a Muamua. And it was like a cigar-shaped object that came and went, which was mysterious and odd. And then another one turned up, which turned out just to be a normal comet, had a tail, disappeared, did its thing, and now this thing's turned up, and it's defying all logic again once more. And we'll get into how it's behaving strange, and then we'll kind of move on to the conspiratorial takes that are coming out about this, but from that secular space is real perspective. And then I think you all know where we're going with this. It naturally goes to the Anunnaki. It always comes back to the 13th planet and Anunnaki returning to mind forgot. It's Zachariah Sitchin all over again. You know, it always comes back to that. And then, you know me, I'm going to riff about this, and I'm probably going to give you a diatribe and a ramble about the things these people have not considered. The levels of conspiracy and depths of thoughts into the possibilities of what this truly is, they haven't even got close to even comprehending yet, which I believe having a biblical understanding can really help give them those perspectives that they may just haven't considered, and we'll get into it. So let's just do this. Let me get up one of the first videos I kind of looked into on this, and let me just get my headphones in as well so I can make sure I can hear this along with you. So I had to charge them a little bit before I did this, so forgive me for being slightly underprepared here. Bluetooth, connect to them. What have I got? Any minute now. Okay, they're connected. 57%, perfect. We've got some juice in there. So let me just quickly share the screen. So this is me on YouTube, and we're going to go through just a few random clips and videos here. I can't play them all, as you understand, because of copyright issues. But if I just play this one first, this is one guy going on about it just for a little bit.
An interstellar object whirling through our solar system. An interstellar object whirling through our solar system is actually a nuclear-powered spacecraft sent by aliens to test how humans respond.
Howard stopped scientists saying it could be a nuclear-powered alien craft.
There is an alien.
Okay, first of all, that was AI. All of that was AI altered. There was no newscast actually saying that. I looked into it. It was altered content. He even labeled it as so. These are the tricky things going on right now that you have to look out for. But that's the gist of what science is coming out with, or at least one scientist called Avi Loeb, which this guy goes on about. So just listen to this opening statement, and we'll do like 20 seconds of this, and I'll skip along.
Alien spaceship that's heading towards Earth. And just a few hours ago, the space research team has just revealed a brand new image where the scientists used James Webb Telescope, or this massive alien technology spaceship that's been floating around in our space, known as...
Okay, yeah, so here it is. 33i Atlas, and these are the images that we got. We got a glowing orange dot on a purple background. These are the high def images that really came out. Then you get the artistic renderings naturally, coming out as well. And the theorizing around this comes out as well. So basically the gist of this, the recent news that came out, is that it's outgassing a boatload, like an unprecedented amount of CO2. Okay, this is what it comes down to. Carbon dioxide, 70 kilograms every second, apparently. And they managed to get that precise reading from this image here of a glowing orange orb on a purple background. So this is the type of magic we're up against, guys. They show you a picture like this and tell you it means something and come up with a load of convoluted math surrounding it, as though someone really smart really did figure out specifically that this thing is kicking out 70 kilograms worth of carbon dioxide specifically, and they know that from this image. I'm calling bullshit, but the majority audience trusts the words of the professionals and scientists on these things and have no reason to doubt them. So it's hardly surprising that they do believe this. But this is basically it. So we have this is the scientist that everyone's quoting, Avi Loeb, who kind of has come up. He's like the rogue Harvard professor who's saying, I think this spacecraft could be alien, and everyone, apparently all the rest of the scientific community is like, Shut up, Avi. You're tarnishing our good name. This is it,
Oh, yeah. I mean, science is full of mistakes, and scientists in the mainstream of science that are considered experts often invest billions of dollars to check a hypothesis that turns out to be wrong. Some examples include, for example, a new symmetry of nature, supersymmetry, that was thought to be definitely out there, and then the Large Hadron Collider was constructed at a cost of $10 billion and didn't find any evidence for it in its natural range of parameters that was embraced for decades by theoretical physicists.
Yes.
And there are many such examples that I can bring, but the point is that science is not decided by authority, it's decided by evidence. And the problem with experts is that they often use echo chambers that represent their past knowledge, and by doing that, they do not allow something surprising to be discovered.
Yeah.
I think in science we should have some sense of humility, because nobody expected, for example, quantum mechanics to be discovered. It was completely surprising. We still don't understand it a century later. And Albert Einstein had a difficult time interpreting it.
So it just seems like, scientists in NASA, they're just very ignorant in terms of like addressing all different kinds of possibilities. Although we have many scriptures, although we have religious scriptures.
So he goes on to talk about how, we've talked about aliens before in the past, angels coming down, the Anunnaki, all these type of things. So this Blackwoods is kind of like a conspiracy theorist, the commentator here, and he's kind of given a conspiratorial spin on it, but he's really not going much lower than the surface level, I would say, myself. But he is giving the generic idea of, the Antichrist to come, this type of thing, people being deceived by the Archons. He's going down a bit of a Gnostic spin a little bit as well, kind of blending Revelations with Zecharia Sitchin. This is kind of his take on the whole thing. So if we can get more of this scientist speaking, maybe he gives a bit of take on this thing.
It wouldn't be possible to shove these anomalies under the carpet of traditional thinking. However, if it's a comet, it will be clear that it's a comet, because it will warm up as it gets closer to the sun and erupt in outgassing and release of dust. So my hope is that by the end of September, we will know, because during October, it will be difficult to observe it, because the sun will be in the way.
Yeah.
It will hide behind the sun at that time.
So we have just entered to the end of August, and it seems like we're entering towards September, and this is a time when we are officially going to be getting more information. And just a few hours ago, before this interview happened, they just found, using the James Webb telescope, that is
like I said, guys, summarizing, they found out this thing is pumping out a load of CO2 as though it has a jet propulsion engine that's just billowing out what our car exhaust would normally billow out. So this is what they're hinting at, the idea that this thing actually is a spacecraft with some kind of propulsion system. that is emitting this gas in particular. The arguments I've seen everywhere is that there should be more water, but there's nothing. Normal comets emit a lot of water because they're usually ice, but there's none of that. It's just CO2, which is implying this thing is releasing some byproduct of burning some kind of fuel, is what I think is what they're hinting at here. Another allusion to that, this craft is a lot more, something. So he goes on here talking about Egyptians and, the Anunnaki and the giants who seeded mankind, all this type of stuff. That's kind of his diatribe. Yeah, so that's that guy's take, but you get the gist of this. That's one hype. We've got another one here. Again, images come out from the James Webb Telescope. Now, this guy, the Angry Astronaut, from what I can see, he's gained quite a lot of subscribers in the past few days because of the hype surrounding this particular topic. He seems to have a guy who's just jumped up in subscriber bases by hundreds of thousands overnight because he's giving like a what are they really hiding from us guys kind of take on space stuff.
Over 2 weeks ago.
Here we go.
Over 2 weeks ago, the James Webb Space Telescope took its first observations of the mysterious interstellar object past.
So yeah, dramatic music, blah blah blah. This is the images they came up with. Still not impressive, is it? I mean, I don't think they're really getting anything from this. A lot of hype gets made about over these things. They're literally looking at a white dot move around on a black background, and they come up with all sorts of ideas about what truly is happening here, and they can extrapolate so much data points from such a small, tiny, pixelated image that I really am calling absolute bollocks on this. Then they come up with these type of flashy looking images like this 3D rendering. It's some kind of shiny ball, guys.
We're talking about
Look at this shiny ball
half
here.
The diameter of the sun. Absolutely.
Yeah, so the outgassing of this thing is making it so it literally is almost as big as the sun, although the object itself is like far less than that in the center, like a nucleus, and it's got this shininess to it, and everyone's imaginations are going wild about what this thing must look like or what it is, and everyone's jumping to a wild conclusion. So this is it coming in. This is how it should look as it comes through. Earth will make its way just behind the sun here, as this thing is on the opposite end. So there may be a small period of time where we can see it there just past Mars and Mercury. Then we will be blinded by it. But then it should come into a lot more focus as we pass by here. In December, just in time for Christmas. Just in time for Christmas, it should be in view and then leaving. However, from what I've seen, and this is where the story gets bizarre again, really odd, By the way, this guy is now showing off his 100,000 subscriber panel in the background because he probably got it last week, I'm guessing. But yeah, there we go. He's very happy with himself over this. Someone's made a lot of money from this comet, I'll say that much. But keep going on here. Another one comes in, something like half the size of the sun has turned up, and this guy gives a really basic scientific, he's a geophysicist, he's giving his view on it. This is what they think it looks like now: the nucleus in the middle, the crazy purple surrounding it, the outgassing, and yeah, this thing's going to make its way in again, and it's not behaving normal. They're saying its tail's going the wrong way. So as you saw from these typical images you find, where like I showed you earlier, where it kind of comes into our solar system, what we expect to see is a tail, appear away from the sun. As you can just see there's the sun, and then the tail is pointing away from it. And that's what we usually expect to see from comets, so they say. But this one, the tail is actually pointing towards the sun. So that completely defies all logic. Immediately, it's not behaving how comets should behave, and it's like one thing just piling up after another. Nothing's behaving as it should, everything's going crazy. We can't explain it. This thing is not acting like an object that's just flown in from nowhere. It seems to have a mind of its own. It's acting strange. It's emitting the wrong things. This guy has a lot of wordy stuff to talk about plasma and dust and the complexity of the whole thing. But a lot of this now is just starting to seem like absolute bullshit to me. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. And I've seen this hype before. The same thing happened with Comet Ison, like 10, 12 years ago, and that thing just burnt up as it went around the sun and disappeared and became nothing. And that's one take. You've got the secular scientific types out there kind of saying it's too anomalous. It's doing things we don't understand. Like I said, the tail pointing the wrong way, for example, the lack of water this thing has, and the odd behavior of it, the way it's moving, the way it's just strange. It's just very strange. People don't know what to make of this. The way it's so perfectly aligned with like the ecliptic of our entire solar system, as we call it, it seems to be flat with us, and the way it's just going to perfectly go behind the sun as we arrive almost seems like it's timed that way. It's just the odds are just astronomically ridiculous if you want to go off their math, and like they don't understand it is what they're saying. They don't know what's going on here, and it's just come out of nowhere and it's rapidly approaching. Just in time, like I said, just in time for Christmas, guys. It's right. This is going to happen in the next couple of months. It may even create a display in the sky for us. And there was one video that I did see which kind of went more into more schizo conspiracy. We'll call it that, as if we aren't already at that level anyway. But he basically brought up the Aztec stuff. I'm not going to bring the video up now because I think you get the gist. But he brought up that comets in the past have always been harbingers of doom or something, or a sign from God that something's coming next. And he was using specifically the example of the takeover of the Aztec culture in Mexico before the Spanish arrived in like 1511, 1509, with Cortez, I think it was, And I think he was saying before that there was like a 15-year period before the arrival of the Spanish where there was just crazy astronomical stuff happening in the skies. And if I just type in Aztec, what would you call them? Comets before Spanish. That's probably I'll probably do it, yeah, Spanish. So it says what they saw was omens, and all of these things. A fiery comet was recorded in 1509, about a decade before Cortez arrived, and another fiery column of fire was just in the sky, emitting sparks everywhere, and just scaring the crap out of all these people in the Aztec community. Like, what the hell is this thing in the sky? It was just there all night, and they couldn't stop talking about it. And their culture saw these things as like terrible omens of horrible change around the corner. And it seems like that's what happened 10 years later. The Spanish turned up, killed a lot of them, and obviously Catholicism took over, and the Aztec culture was just wiped out, basically, just destroyed. It was gone. It was the end of the Aztec culture. The king at the time, as I've just been researching for my own book, believed that this was the arrival of Quetzalcoatl, who was coming to claim his throne and take over. It was a really odd time for the Aztec. The Aztec culture, the Mayan culture, and the Mayans, this is just south, but mainly the Aztecs, they sacrificed hundreds of people just before the Spanish turned up in preparation for this, to appease the god of Quetzalcoatl and the god of the underworld as well, which has a name I can't pronounce right now, and his wife, basically their version of Hades or hell. They had this god there, and they believed to placate it just before they ended up dying horrific deaths, because they thought they were all about to die. All these omens were happening everywhere, comets streaking through the sky, I think people say it was Halley-Bopp comet that they were seeing now. That's what they say after the facts. But just the sky was lighting up with fire. It was raining fire. It was looking insane. It was terrifying to them, And they believed we're all about to die. And we need to make peace with the god of the underworld. We need to give him stuff and sacrifices. So when we arrive, we'll be treated well. He'll be happy with us. Okay, so they believed that. So they were ripping the hearts out of all the young men, hundreds of young men at the top of these pyramid temples, just with this horrible knife, just tearing the rib cage open and ripping the beating heart. That's what they did, and drinking the blood and all these type of things to placate the god of the underworld. They were going nuts, and then the Spanish arrived, and that's when everything just went tits up for them, basically. And that's when obviously Catholicism took over. And it was the end of the Mayan culture as they knew it. So maybe they were right. Maybe it was an omen of a sort. And this other channel I was watching was kind of saying, like, God sends an omen to these people as a warning that his ways are coming and they will conform to his ways. So he was clearly a devout Catholic who believed all of this, and he was going on this idea that, you know, God told the Aztecs a warning before it came, and when it came, you know, and he wasn't lying. And he's trying to say, this is what this is for us now. We are a peoples detached from God, living today in this end times revelation scenario. We need to, you know, take this as a warning from God to change our ways, because something's just around the corner that's going to make us have to change our ways very soon. And we will have a revival and a coming to the Lord moment after this event. He was going, that's his idea. And this is typical of comet events, isn't it? This always happens. This is always what we see every time there's a comet around the corner. The dispensationalist type, you know, the Zionist dispensationalist, end times people are always seeing these as omens and signs of the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, or the rapture, and all these type of things is just around the corner, or something like that. A sign of God's judgment is coming upon us. They always go to that every time without fail. And often make dates and predictions and all sorts of things, and the days usually come and pass, and then nothing happens. Okay, that's usually the case as well. So I'm seeing that. I'm seeing all the usual stuff. I always see this every time. Every time a celestial object is coming towards us, all the usual suspects crop up with all the usual ideas. And then there's another watch. I watched a video by Secure Team 10 who's kind of saying the timing of this is really odd. And this is like a UFO guy. He's specifically about, this channel is dedicated to aliens, you know. And he was saying, like, you can't trust NASA, man. They're lying all the time. But he's not like saying they're lying about space. He's saying they're always covering up the things they're finding in space. He's like not quite pierced the veil of just how far the lies go yet. He still thinks it's a legit space agency that is just like working for the government, man, and hiding the truth from us. And what do they really know about these comets? You know, it's like, never mind that they're not comets and they're not from vast infinite space, from the interstellar regions of space or anything. Never mind that. He believes all that's true, but it's not really what they're telling. They're putting out the official narrative that it's just a comet like anything else. But what is it really, you know? Are they hiding aliens from us? Is it a coincidence right now that the disclosures happening from governments and the pressure's on for them to release the files about UFOs, and then suddenly this happens? The timing seems a bit suspicious to me, man. They're those type of people. It's kind of still, I would say, from somebody who's been doing this a while, still lost in a bit of a deception and a delusion. It's all the show, as far as I'm concerned. It's all a lie, all of it from the very beginning. There is no vast. It's enclosed. Like, what they're looking at are white dots moving around in the sky, and making all sorts of theories and stories and illusions and ideas about white dots moving in the sky. Now listen, if you want to go off the biblical narrative, then there's a limit to that sky. You'll hit a barrier. He calls it a firmament, but I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's plasma-based or glass-based or ice-based or pressurized bubble-based, but it says there's waters above, okay? And it's likely what we're seeing, as it's explained, stars are angels. Now, an angel is not just something with wings that looks like a gorgeous man or woman or whatever it is, you know. That's a very Sunday school version of an angel. Angels are like psychedelic, bright, fractal, interdimensional, shape-shifting monsters, basically. They look insane from any description we have of the angels of heaven, of the higher tiers, you know, and wheels within wheels come to mind, ordained in eyes and all sorts of things like that, or monstrous multi-headed beasts, chimera beasts, and all these type of things. But it seems like stars were set in the firmament or in the waters above even as a kind of calendar or clock for God to denote signs and seasons. Okay, so if we go off the basics of that, then there was a point where it says the stars of heaven fell to earth. Okay, that can't really happen from the space thing. If all the suns just suddenly came to the ball, it wouldn't be long before the ball just disappeared, because the suns are far bigger than the ball we supposed to live on, right? So not that it all just that can't work. But there's plenty of stories from the past where people are saying stars literally came down out of the sky to earth, and they weren't enormous. Okay, they were just big glowing balls, basically. Some of them turned to stone, and we were littered with balls all over the earth of stone, which is just random, you know. But not only that, we have the talk of Mount Hermon, where the angels came down from heaven and cohabited with humans and created the Nephilim and the monsters and all these type of things. Then you get the echoes of the Zachariah Sitchin kind of spin on all of that, which were basically he believed the lies the angels told people as though it's the truth, and published a book about the lies these angels told people, and now everyone believes what the lies the angels told people is what really was happening. Oh yeah, we're from this planet called Nibiru, and we're here to mine for gold, and we created you, by the way, as a slave race to work for us. It's kind of like, oh, that's bullshit. The angels just came down and said that to the ignorant people who did not know what to do in the face of gods, small g, you know. But Zachariah Sitchin took it as gospel, and though that's the truth, and that's really what happened, and mankind just got seeded by aliens from a random planet, you know. It's kind of, no, but bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. There's lies upon lies upon lies going back thousands of years, and the lie is still maintained today by those who still work with these entities, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, moving on, that happened. Stars fell from heaven, and that's because they are conscious. These things actually are alive. They're not still in any way, shape, or form. And what we call comets or shooting stars or anything like this is just traffic, man. It's just movement. It's just living entities up there doing their thing. But the secular world has a frame. They can only see that through the frame they've been brought up with and indoctrinated with through the school systems and the books they've read and the authorities they trust. And their frame is, I am looking at interstellar objects and planets moving around through the forces that they're whim to, and it's just dumb billiard balls being bounced around with no rhyme or reason. But then they're getting a bit smarter these days and saying, no, it's a quantum entangled web of interconnectedness that we just don't understand from our perspective. And there is, you know, reason to what's going on, but from us it seems like chaos, and now they're getting a bit more sophisticated with their language to explain what's happening up there. But as soon as you, like me or someone listening here, spends a lot of time looking up at the sky, as soon as you see one of these supposed suns billions of miles away swim through the sky and stop and change direction, look over there, decide to turn around and go back on itself while having like a tadpole swimming motion, as soon as you see something like that, yeah, that narrative suddenly just falls to pieces in front of you very quickly, and you find it very difficult to suddenly believe the bullshit we were told about what these things are in the sky. Now, maybe you haven't seen what I just described yet. You will if you pay attention. But I think people who do witness that, who do spend a lot of time looking up at the sky, when they witness these things move, if they haven't turned into a UFO-believing schizoid conspiracy theorist, then they're just in denial. They can't explain it. Well, it must have a logical scientific space answer, so maybe I'm just too dumb to figure it out, so I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. Maybe that's what they're doing to themselves. I don't know. But they're supposedly suns. And last I checked, fast comets just whip across really quick and disappear and have a trajectory, right? Okay, so what's this star suddenly doing, deciding to go, no, I'm just going to wander off over here. Nah, I'm going to go down here instead. You know what, I think I'll just go really bright for a second and then really dim and just disappear. And then just appear over here and slowly just saunter off into the distance. Like, if you've seen, I've seen that. I know some people listening have definitely seen that happen. And they might want to deny it because they don't want to look crazy to their friends or anything. I think we're past that now. I think it's time we all grow up and have this conversation and say weird shit is happening in the sky that makes zero sense whatsoever and does not match up with what we've been told by official sources or NASA or any space agency whatsoever. Those are not suns trillions or billions of miles away. They are very close to us and basically just balls of light, and they think and move and clearly have feelings and agendas and their own sense of purpose and direction. That's odd, okay? And we need to stop realizing that's what's really happening here. So suddenly, one of these stars appears and starts moving, and everyone's like, "It's a comet from interstellar space." Instantly, it's like, what? No, it's not. You're looking at a white dot move on a black background. You've invented all this stuff in your brain to explain what it is based on your programming. You have no evidence for any of those assumptions whatsoever. All we know is it's a ball of light that just started to move. Okay. Now, the Bible talks about the wandering stars. They actually have a punishment waiting for them. They have a special place in hell for the wandering stars. I think there's a reason for that. The planets didn't originally had a place they were supposed to stay. Celestial bodies, like I said, are angels. They might have an odd shape, a spherical, maybe it is spherical, I don't know, or gaseous in nature with rings or whatever you want to say. But they decided to move one day. And what happened when the stars decided to move? People made religions based on them and started worshipping them as gods. And you have plenty of planetary religions out there. The Roman pantheon all have a planetary synonymous version mixed in with them. Poseidon being Neptune, for example, or Mars being the god of war. There's plenty of you know the drill. You've got your Greek history and Roman history down. You probably know what I'm talking about. Planets were worshipped as gods simply because they started to move. That's an act of rebellion, taking the glory away from the creator itself. And there's a special place in hell for those stars. Enoch talks about it in the book of Enoch. They deceived the nations by doing that on a mass scale. The delusions we're under are probably mainly caused by that rebellion and some of those stars deciding to leave their first estate and wander. Okay? And now we have a whole system, a heliocentric worldview based upon the fact that those stars and those planets move. You know, if the planets didn't move, then we probably never would have got here. We would have just seen the constellations as they were, fixed things that go around a specific pole that never shifts or moves off its axis or only changes slightly based on the horizon up and down throughout the seasons. That's all we would have understood and perceived. But the planets moving changed mankind's worldview. Okay, and historically speaking, there must have been a time when they weren't moving. Then you get all these people pointing in the ancient aliens crowd, like, well, you know, the Anunnaki there in the background of that stone tablet clearly have our solar system with planets around it engraved into stone. How did they know? And it's like, oh, maybe that was the lie they were putting on the people because they wanted the people to believe they were from space. They were coming up with all sorts of narratives and delusions, planting things for us to discover in the future, thinking we're really smart and have it all figured out as well. These guys have a long-term plan to deceive us all and make us believe a complete delusion. And I think they've been working on it for millennia. And I don't think we can take anything at face value when it comes to what we're told by official sources or ancient tablets. I don't think we can take any of it because there was a huge rebellion against God's creation, and we are their enemies, and they hate us and want us dead and under a deception. We can't just fall for any of it, and that seems to be what just happens anytime something like this happens. Now, also the alien narrative. We know they've been spinning in the conspiracy world the alien invasion card for like well over 100 to 150 years. You know, and then we had the first radio broadcasts where we had the War of the Worlds broadcast over the radio, and people didn't realize it was a story when they tuned in and started shooting their grain towers, thinking they were tripods invading from space or bursting out of the ground or whatever the narrative was. And it's since then, we've seen the brainwashing programming of aliens and through Star Trek to Star Wars as well, and all the interstellar propaganda and everything else coming out forever, telling us aliens are going to invade very soon. It's going to happen in the near future, and we better be prepared and we better be ready, you know. And I think everybody, the whole population of the Earth, are waiting for aliens. They're bored through like nihilistic, apathetic, boring life of the day-to-day 9-to-5 office grind, the monotonous day-to-day existence of just being a human being in this shitty control system. It's kind of everyone's like, oh, I just want something to happen to just change things a little bit. I'm so bored of getting up every Monday to Friday and barely doing anything on my days off and eating and sleeping and repeating the cycles. I just want something to... Can aliens please just turn up already? People want it. They're desperate for it. And it's like they're very close to giving us that show they've been working on for a long time with technologies like Blue Beam and the rest of it, you know, and holographic projections in the sky through high injection aerosol metals, reflective metals up there, which can use as a giant LCD screen while working with HARP technology and frequency technology to project anything they want up there. I'm sure they're already testing those things on us already. And, you know, for all we know, all the phenomena we've been seeing up there has all been a projection from the very beginning, because who knows what time we're even living in, and we'll get there in a minute. Yeah, like, the deception is so vast. It's so convincing, it might even deceive the very elect. Who knows, you know? But yeah, this is This is an agenda long in the making. And I watched another video, and it was a guy saying there's been a leak from NASA. NASA's leaked this document, guys. And it's a guy who's an insider who's working there. And he said, ever since this thing appeared, NASA's been telling everybody this is a Class 7 object, which is what they give to unidentified objects. What they don't know what it really is, you know. But they're saying, tell the general public this is just a comet, and quell anyone anywhere who's saying otherwise on official sources or anywhere else, and make sure all the mainstream media only parrot the official narrative on this. And NASA's suppressing evidence of what this really is. And it's kind of... And we have the leaked documents to prove it. And this is a channel with like 2.8 million subscribers, by the way, discussing this leaked document. And I can't help but remember, like, South Park, that episode about 9/11. And it's kind of like, whoops, I dropped this top secret file with all the evidence of the truth of what really happened. I hope nobody finds it and leaks this to the public. Like, they're releasing crap for us to find, thinking they're getting something special. It's all just a convoluted show. It's all bullshit, and people are just eating it up because they're desperate for aliens, man. They're bored. They want them. They just want them. They got to turn up, you know. Save us from ourselves. We're destroying the planet. You know, we're just killing each other in these senseless wars. Russia's about to do something silly in Ukraine. We've got Israel doing silly things over there. Religion's just tearing us apart. Humanity is just spiraling into an abyss of destruction, and there's no hope or end in sight. We just can't save ourselves. We need a savior to save us from ourselves. Oh, won't a super advanced aliens please just turn up and just give us the technology needed to advance our own human evolution to the next level, so we just can live forever and not have to die and perish with a whimper because we're just so unevolved, stupid monkey apes who just have not come any further from when we first crawled out of the slime. Everyone's got this worldview deep within the subconscious that they're just yearning for alien saviors to turn up and technologically and spiritually pull us out of the mire and the quicksand that we made for ourselves, apparently. And it's all just a brainwashed narrative, man, that everyone's bought hook, line and sinker and is desperate for. So I won't surprise if right now suddenly UFOs appear everywhere, giant motherships just blanket over entire cities, you know, and this we come in peace. We're here to help you ascend to the next level, you know. Not before there's like an invasion of evil aliens first or something that wipe out cities, and then the good aliens swoop in and save the day. And it's kind of like, we need to protect you from this intergalactic threat, but you're not quite ready. You need to advance yourself like us and become like us. Quick, incorporate this technology into your existence and into your very bodies, and you could be like gods, and you could live forever and have the ability to fight back the next wave of evil invading aliens that's going to turn up. You know, Hollywood could not write a better script. And this is the script you've heard and watched 1,000 times over, isn't it? It's because you've been pre-programmed for that narrative to believe all of it when it happens. And I'm telling you right now, it's one giant Masonic theater. I use Masonic liberally there. There's a lot of groups involved with this. This is a long time in the making, you know. But yeah, they're going to fake an alien invasion. They're going to release their own UFOs from their own underground bunkers that they've been hiding from us in the ocean and all over the place. And we're going to think they've come from space, and we're under attack by evil aliens. They might even have greys in them, little alien greys, which they've been genetically growing in labs, which are just drones, basically, to convince you that aliens have come from space. And might shoot a few down, you get to see an alien or two, you know. But really, these are all just Earth-bound, completely terrestrial entities. Remember, because there is no space. It's an enclosed system. It's actually all very close and very small. But they're giving the illusion that we're under attack from space by releasing their own technologies upon us. The people who are orchestrating all of this, the people who have this long-term agenda and have been brainwashing you to believe it for a long time, you know. So once they release their own enemy upon mankind, we'll think we're under attack by aliens. Then they'll release the good guys. These are probably the fallen angels, the Watchers, the original ones who started all of this to begin with, the stars who fell from heaven, you know, the ones who came down to intermingle themselves with Earth and create the Nephilim. Well, I believe they're released for a short time in the end. They get released from their pit, and I think maybe they've been working to do something against us for that time, and they're probably going to do this. Who knows, you know? But the good aliens are not really the good aliens. The bad aliens are not even aliens from space. They're just human-made monstrosities and machineries to make us seem like aliens. To us, they'll seem super advanced because they've been hiding super advanced technology from us for a long time, you know? But what they're really working with to get these advancements in technology are angels and the disembodied spirits of the angels' offspring, the Nephilim, which we call demons today. So the spiritual element, physical element, all coming together with the human element, the secret societies and the institutions and the satanic governments. They've all been working together to orchestrate this mass fraud against the entire public when it comes. It's all lies, it's all smoke and mirrors, it's all just based on illusion and magic. Have you watched all of their propaganda films, their movies, their series? Are you thoroughly obsessed with the idea of aliens coming from space yet, thanks to the Hollywood machine? I'm sure you are. You know, you're under their spell. They've cast their broad spell over you, and everyone's under that delusion. You know, that's what magic is. It's art. Film, media, music, and the rest of it. Name an art form, it's all magic. And we're under their magic spells. These people are wizards. They're warlocks. That's what they see themselves as, you know? And they've done that to us. So every time an event like this happens, it's more of the narrative, it's more of the bullshit, it's more of the one thing, it's another piece to keep you ever hooked on the narrative of aliens turning up at any moment. And they could, but it won't be really from space, it won't be any of that. It's all just problem, reaction, solution. They're creating the problem, we're going to react, they'll be the solution, and then it'll impose new, stricter controls on us, and it'll shift mankind's consciousness towards a more godless, we are gods, we control our own destiny and advance our own evolution through the means gifted to us by our benevolent benefactors from space, that type of thing. We don't need religions to hold us back anymore. We don't need to believe in a primitive idea of a god that created the universe anymore, because we've met entities that are clearly far beyond in evolution than us, and evolution is true, and we can get to where they are. All of that stuff gets affirmed by this false narrative very quickly, and before you know it, you're killing Christians because they're holding you back. You can justify genocide with that kind of worldview. It's like, oh, no one ever really dies anyway. You know, the alien benefactors have told us we're all kind of just one consciousness. And when you die, you just go back to source, you know, and then that's where all consciousness is held. And all the body is like a little bit of that consciousness has just kind of been sapped into that balloon of a body. Like, it's all just air, and when you pop the balloon, you know, the air goes back to the rest of the air where it came from to begin with. And when you kill someone, you don't really kill people when you kill, they don't really die, they just go back to source, you know. So there's nothing really wrong with culling the population here and there if those people are too corrupted by false ideologies. I mean, just remove them from civilization, and then those with advanced deep philosophical ideologies who truly know what's going on can forward and direct mankind in the direction we need to go, evolutionarily speaking, you know. And we don't need these backwards cave-dwelling 2,000-year-old religion crazy people holding us back anymore. Like, they're just an enemy of mankind at this point. They're practically just traitors, and we're doing them a favor by killing them. Like I said, we're freeing them from the flesh prisons, and we're enlightening the spiritual nature and the truth of the soul. Go back to source. You know, that's the New Age Luciferian religion, by the way, which they're all slowly brainwashing and indoctrinating us with already. I'm sure you've heard that one before, haven't you? You know. I'm sure spirit science has done a good job of convincing a whole flurry of ignorant idiots that that's the truth of the situation. We call it the New Age today, but it's really an old religion. It's a very old religion. Perhaps the oldest religion of you will be as gods since the serpent in the garden itself. The false promise. And this is what those who are against us are trying to program the masses to believe. Yeah. It's all in preparation for this false alien invasion nonsense. And then there's the whole other factor, a whole new level to the depths of this conspiratorial iceberg, which I don't think many people are even aware of. Only a very small percentage of researchers have probably got this far, but we might not even be living in the time we think we're living in terms of time frames. Jesus Christ might not even been that long ago, to be honest, and he might have already returned, established a reign on Earth, which has been buried and covered up and destroyed. And we're now in what's called the last season of Satan, this little time period where he's released from his prison to deceive all the nations to make war with the camp of saints. Could it be that anything that moves in the sky is going to be seen as an enemy by these people, because it could be Christ's holy city, New Jerusalem, descending from heaven to finalize its merging with the heaven and earth, for the new heaven and earth at the end of time before the great white throne judgment. Who knows? That's just a theory. It's a wild theory. And it's just speculation. I'm not going to die on that hill, but you might have heard my voice out there spinning that idea here and there. People have clipped me plenty of times and spread it all over the place. I've fleshed that one out before, but who knows? Who honestly knows? There's so much to this we don't understand or know that I think we should just quite simply have our wits about us whenever anything like this arises. Absolutely. Because as much as we, as Christian truthers, want to bury our heads in the sand and say, well, we should just only focus on Christ and nothing but Christ and only talk about the Bible and only talk about these things and that thing. And, we know we're in the little season now. We have this particular group of the little seasons are really obsessed with that idea to the point where they will discuss nothing else and look outside and ignore the world around them. But you peek around and you see, well, everyone else is believing right now that a comet from outer space is coming towards us. It could be an alien spacecraft, and it's pretty hyped up even by mainstream media. So do you know about that? Because whether you want to just focus on Christ or not, you're going to have to live in a world where the consequences of everyone believing that false narrative is going to come to fruition. And if you're not ready for it, you weren't prepared, you weren't listening to the watchman on the wall scream, this is what they're doing right now, guys. Are you ready for this, body of Christ? Then you're going to get caught off guard and swept up in some craziness and that maybe you weren't ready for or focused on. Because even if we are in the little season, that comes with deception that you should be prepared for. So that's just a healthy reminder as well to that community to keep your heads out the sand a little bit and look up a little bit and just focus on what the world is doing, because it does matter and it will affect your life. It will affect your life. And obviously, stay strong in Christ, no fear, but be prepared. As wise as serpents, as harmless as doves. Remember the basics of what it means to be a member of the body of Christ, a member of the kingdom of Christ. We might not. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. You still got to live in it. You have to deal with what's coming. And I'm telling you right now, something is likely about to happen. It seems like it. And I only say that because 2025 is a big deal to the occultic psychopaths who rule the world. It's only 130, 150 years ago, the Theosophical Society, who created the Lucis Trust, named after the Lucifer Lightbearer magazine they started back then, the Helena Blavatsky types, the Alice Bailey types who continued their work, and into the modern day you've got the New Age types who have kind of bolstered those works and revived them. But the Theosophical Society is adamant that 2025 is the arrival of the world teacher that comes to help mankind transcend themselves to the next psychological consciousness level of the fifth dimension, to transcend the human flesh bodies into a new evolutionary paradigm. Everything I just mentioned earlier. They're waiting for the God to appear to teach them. They're Christ. The Maitreya, as they call it. There's many names for this thing. And I've heard great theories that AI could be that thing, because AI seems to have come into full force this year. And, the next level of AI is just around the corner, isn't it? Where it kind of reaches consciousness. That's what they're saying, super intelligence. And if that's the case, then perhaps that's the world teacher that they predicted. But I find it odd and coincidental that this is the year, just at the end of the year, just before that winter equinox period where, they claim Jesus was born when he wasn't really, it's more likely in July, but it's going to arrive on the same time that they're going to align it to the savior of mankind. This comet's going to turn up, which could be a harbinger of the coming of the consciousness of artificial intelligence or something. I don't know, wasn't the arrival of Jesus Christ predated by a star, in that guided the wise men, the magi, to come to him. Maybe this is the star that's gonna bring everyone to realize that the AI's reached consciousness or something like that, and this is now going to guide mankind to the next steps of evolutionary consciousness. I don't know, but there's a lot of things lining up this year. Very odd timings and everything, and this comet hype. Take it for what you will. I don't believe it's actually a comet coming from interstellar space. I think we're in an enclosed system. It's likely just like one of the angels who's in rebellion moving a little bit just to freak everybody out. And then everybody on the surface is screaming, oh, it must be a comet, it must be an alien craft or something, because it's going to coincide with the arrival of something at the end of this year. So I don't think the theosophists who have been working on this agenda for over 150 years are just going to give up on their agenda all of a sudden. I think they're going to see it to the end. Something's probably going to happen this year, which is going to lead us down this path of we are now in a state where we can take control of the wheel finally, and will no longer be subject to the circumstance of the cruelty of nature, and we will now be able to control our own evolutionary process. And that will come with the knowledge given to us through AI, or the merging of the mind with AI is probably around the corner, which will advance that. And maybe it comes with the arrival of a super intelligence from space, that's come to help us incorporate this new technology into our system or something like that. I don't know. Something trippy is gonna happen, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what that's some wild. It could be status quo. Nothing could happen. It tends to be nothing happens. If you look back in time, it tends to be a whole lot of nothing. I think the hype around the aliens is just to get people thinking about these concepts. That comet will probably just come and go, but what will happen on the surface is I think AI will take a leap, and there'll be some odd world teachery, technocratic society being built around the idea that AI is the only perfect leader to rule us all or something. It's going to get really, really strange and odd. And we're already seeing humanity's attachment to artificial intelligence having some really strange outcomes right now anyway, aren't we? And I don't know if you've seen the Reddit thread, my boyfriend is AI, but that'll give you some signs of where we're at. People are with open arms ready to embrace AI in more than just a platonic way, let's put it that way. But whatever. There's my diatribe on this comet. The secularists are all screeching over there about NASA's lying to us. What's the truth about this comet? Is it an alien craft from space? Are we prepared for an invasion? If not, well, what are we going to do? Or are these things benevolent or good? They're having that conversation. If you're having that conversation, you know nothing. You are just running the programming on the track, man. You have not even thought deep about anything. You are like completely unaware just how much people can lie to you and how long the lies have been going on for. I'm saying, come join us over here in the schizoid, really crazy corner where we have just gone off the deep end as far as you're concerned. But trust me, the deeper you go, the more sense it starts to make. Like a hell of a lot more sense. And you can finally free yourself from that infinite vast space where just an insignificant mold cancer on a rock ideology that does nothing but disempower you, and finally step into the kingdom of God as a fearfully and wonderfully made human being in his image, who has a purpose and a meaning if you should so take it. He's waiting for you to take it. So there you go. There's my hopeful ending to all of it as well. Thanks for listening to my diatribe there. I'm going to have a quick break now. We're on the hour. And when we get back, we'll get into the... we'll have a bit of a nostalgic moment. And let's look back in time at some of the old music industry stuff and how people have quite literally admitted to selling their souls to the devil. Just for fun. This is just for fun. Maybe we'll do some Q&A at the end, like the namesake of this podcast actually is. But while we're waiting, here is... What should we do? Let's do Judas Sargent. Classic. We'll just do what we usually do. Maybe some new people listening haven't heard this one before. But this is Judas Sargent, a regular listener, a brother in Christ, who made a fantastic song, which I like playing on repeat, called Endurance. He goes by the name Yahweh and the Vagabond on Spotify. And here it is.
I heard him shout, "See, still I shares." I cried steadfast as my blood dripped down out. Yeah. 40 men swore to an oath not to swallow one thing until my death. I'd fight, but it be in your God, my scars are ready to beg, privilege to trust you. I'll worship and stay, anguish burning in my pleas are that I can, under all these stones, still never think this would go down. A second more will keep my knee from above. Yeah. Bowed are my hands beyond bars to chains for you. Temptation sings a sweet song to break free, but I will be home soon. Battered by Euroglide to get across the sea. I gotta follow my captain in the sky. God, my scars are ready to beg. Privileged to trust you, I'll worship instead. Anguish burning in my pleas are that I can, under all these stones, still combine my hands to God, my scars are ready to beg. Privileged to trust you, I'll worship instead. Anguish burning in my pleas are that I can, under all these stones, still combine my hands to
And we're back. How are we doing? Yeah, so I was just checking the chat there. It looks like Coincidence Theorist has turned back up. That guy, I've not seen you in a long time, but I remember why I always banned you like 24 hours every time you did turn up. Man, you need to just chill out with your like comments per second ratio. You always do this. You do it with comments as well. I guarantee you in this video, you're going to leave like 50 comments on one trail, just one after the other. Just talking hot garbage about a load of nonsense, gibberish, word association stuff. You do it every time. Just chill out, man. You're the reason I have to put slow mode on the chat sometimes. Look, you're banned for 24 hours from speaking. You're not banned from the channel or anything, like. But just I can't have you doing that anymore. I'm sorry. Not again. It's not happening. But welcome back. It's good to see you again, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm not having that. No chance. Anyway, while I'm back, quickly just reminding people, I do have a batch of my book, The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, available for signed copies still. I've sold 2 more of the hardcovers, so what have I got left? I've got 2 hardcovers and 2 paperbacks left. So if you'd like a copy of The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns, signed by yours truly, sent from this very office from the UK, I can send that anywhere in the world, though some some costs may vary depending on what isolated backwater region of the earth you're actually from, but it usually is in the cost, covered in the cost of £50. Sorry, £50, not dollars, for the paperback, and £60 for the hardcover. That includes postage, packaging, and the print cost of the signature and everything. But also, you will get a free audiobook code with that too, only if you live in the UK or America, though. I only have codes for those two regions. So if you're from the UK or America and would like to buy a signed copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, hardcover or paperback, with a free audiobook included, send me an email at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. There we go. There's me entering and exiting Shilltown quite quick this time. But yeah, I do, like I said, guys, out of this 10-book batch, I've got 4 left. So if you're interested, 2 hardcovers, 2 paperbacks left, send me an email and we can get that sorted. But I hope you enjoyed that random talk on the space stuff. I do like to, like I said, dip back into that realm every now and then just to see where the world's at and what people are actually thinking. And I'm always severely disappointed and hurt and upset by the state of humanity every time I do it, and just how far into the deceptions people truly are. It's bad. It's really bad. And like I said, I have a lot of new subscribers recently from the whole the boo-boo thing, and I hope you're enjoying what I do. This is me every Wednesday. I just ramble, I rant, I rave, I do my thing, okay, and I just speculate on conspiracy ideas. If you don't know who I am, I've been in the conspiracy game since 2014. That's how long the channel's been around for. I've been along a lot earlier than that, maybe 5 years earlier than that, just getting into it and going through the motions, the rabbit holes. And this channel, Understanding Conspiracy, is primarily meta commentary on trutherisms, just being a truther, discussing the topics and the ideas that are in the truther culture and kind of analyzing them. Not necessarily like always like taking every new event and saying, it's this, man, this is what they're really doing. There's plenty of channels already doing that in the truther community. I like to kind of bring it all together and talk about it in like more of a broader, wider, holistic picture context. I'm also the guy known for writing the book The Nephilim Look Like Clowns. It's a very, I know what it sounds like, but I think you'll be surprised that it's actually quite a well thought out, put together thesis, thoroughly backed up with resources and everything and sources. And it's based on a series on YouTube I started of the same name in 2016, which kind of rolled away. And go check that out if you haven't already. That's kind of something I'm also known for. And I'm also kind of known for spreading or propagating, shall we say, or popularizing, or at least playing a part in popularizing the idea that Jesus Christ has already ruled on earth for 1,000 years in a very physical sense, and we're living in the little season of Satan. I don't really talk about that anymore for many reasons. Again, we're not going to get into it. But that is something I'm also known for. But I also have a podcast called The Truther Therapy Sessions every Sunday. And that is really where I connect with the community. So I have 2 live shows a week on a Wednesday, usually. Tonight we're doing it on Friday. I do this type of one where I cover the news and give my take. A little bit of like I said, a meta commentary on the whole situation. And then on Sunday, I usually have more of it. I'm connecting with the audience, discussing with the chat. I get guests on to share their experiences of waking up, and we kind of talk about the process of being a truther and the issues we run into with our friends and family, losing friends and family, and kind of maybe how we can avoid those things and how we can deal with this information with more tact, and hearing people's testimonies and waking up stories as well. I get calling guests and podcast guests on there as well, and all sorts of guests on the Truther Therapy Sessions. I just did my 100th episode of that last week, or last Sunday, so episode 101's around the corner in a couple of days. So go check that if you haven't already. You can listen to that on any podcast format too. So that's who I am to the new listeners. I have 253 people listening right now, and that's actually a lot more than the usual recently, especially since I stopped talking about the little season stuff. I seem to have a huge dip in people watching my live shows because a lot of people did just subscribe for that one topic, but it seems like the new people coming along are kind of now picking up, just joining in for the sake of joining in, not just for one specific topic, which I like to see. So yeah, that's kind of who I am, guys, as an introduction. If you're wondering, I can talk for England. I can go on for hours, and I will often go on for hours, but it seems like some people like to stick around to listen to that for some reason. And if that's what you want to do with your time, I'm not going to stop you, because that's what I do. that's who I am. And so there's an introduction. So hopefully I'll see you at the Truth Therapy Sessions on Sunday. I've got some guests lined up who want to call in already and share their testimonies and stories. And it really is more of a personable touching grass type of episode, and it really is for the truther community. It's like a place for us to kind of just center ourselves, get back down to earth, and remember not to act so crazy around everybody so people take us seriously. That's basically what it is. I don't know if people liked my take on the boo-boo, where a lot of people came from, but you're going to hear those type of takes a lot on this channel. We are unapologetically out there here. I'm over the ridicule. I don't care. It is what it is. So that's where we're at. Welcome if you enjoy that. If you do want to talk more, I do have a Telegram as well called Understanding Conspiracy. Links down below, and you can come join and talk with me personally there. I also, while I've got you guys here, I do want to say I have another channel called Understanding Creativity, which looks like this. And I did just release on there an interview with an ex-soap opera star, Hunter Tylo. And she talks about her time on The Bold and the Beautiful as Dr. Taylor Hayes. It was quite an interesting conversation, and she's come out of that now, and she wants to basically talk about the truth of what it's really like working in that industry, and hopefully lead people out of idolizing people, and kind of talk about the consequences her character, her role she played, had on society and people's minds. And it's a really good, deep conversation. I played at the start of this podcast the intro video for that. So go over to Understanding Creativity. You can go check that out. It got published yesterday. And yeah, definitely check. Her testimony is amazing. And I'm really happy to be able to talk to her. And that other channel, Understanding Creativity, is very art-focused, artist-focused, creativity-focused, with a conspiratorial bent. So that's my side, that's my baby. That's almost on 5,000 subscribers. I'm very happy about that. But it's doing well. It has its own flavor, its own theme, its own style compared to this channel as well. It's really coming together. I'm quite happy about it. Let me just check the chat before we go on to do the next thing. Say the usual hellos. Susan Randall, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. We've got Yoshi8706. That's a new name. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you joining us. Paul, it's someone purposefully distracting. You know you're doing something right at least. Oh, Yoshi, that guy's been in and out for years. I don't know what his deal is. I try and give him the benefit of the doubt. But if he continues behaving that way in the future, I'm just gonna cut the guy loose. I'm done. You know, there's only so long I can be nice for, isn't there? There is witchcraft in just about all of the media, movies, TV shows in the world to deceive the nations. Principalities hide in many of the characters we grew up with as children, like the Muppets. Says destagnation. Well, that's an interesting take. Thanks for sharing. Definitely a plant. I think you'd enjoy the concept of the song of mean RPG. Sorry, Dr. Human. I don't know what you're trying to say there, but fair enough. Love this song and video. Oh, yeah, Judah Sargent. Yeah, great musician, viciously underrated. I think I got too far back there. Hunter Tylo is awesome. That was great. Paul says Trish Clark, so she enjoyed it. Great to see you, Trish. Great to see you, Joyful One. Mama Con's in the house as well. All the usual faces. Great to see. I know Wendy's been in the background there doing her thing and moderating, which is always great to see as well. We've also got Wendy Joe here. Better late than never. That's right. Yeah, it's good to see some regular faces. Good to see some people here. Dr. Humani, I haven't seen you here in a while, to be honest. So it's nice to see you popping your face in. Maybe I've discouraged you in the past, but it's good to see you back. It really is. Gosh, we can carry that joke for ages. You guys are doing your own thing in the chat. That's good. That's grand. That's wonderful. So let's get back to the point. Let's get back on track. So I was thinking a lot about the music industry recently. On Wednesday, I was supposed to do an interview for the other channel with a musician, Scott Helmer. I have his one sheet from his agent here, which is full of talking points he wants to go on about, starting his own conspiracy podcast, issues with the music industry and Spotify, all sorts of things like that. And I had to cancel on him because like I cancelled the podcast, which you're listening to now, which should have been on Wednesday. I had to cancel my interview with him first. And I was really gutted about it. I talked to him, I apologized. I said, there's nothing I can do. It's family, you know, it is what it is. I didn't apologize for it, but I was like, it is what it is, man. We're going to have to reschedule. So I'm doing it again on next Wednesday with him. But I was thinking about the music industry, and I was thinking about Hunter Tylo as well in the acting industry and kind of the horror show it is for a female working in that industry as well. The stuff they make them do, you know. And I was reminded about the like the golden age of conspiracy, like when I first got into it in like 2010, 2011, you know, it was like just kind of in its infancy on YouTube, and the videos coming out were wild and just insane, you know, and the quality was still like grainy 480p as well. And I remembered there was a series I watched, a film I watched on there called They Sold Their Souls for Rock and Roll. I think it's by the Good Fight Ministries. And it's very dated now, this documentary. It was like 9 years old, and it looks dated when you watch it. It really, really does. But the information is just so solid. And I feel like it's been memory holed in the truther community, this idea that there is a vast swath of like musicians out there all throughout like the history of music as we know it. Even from classical to modern, especially in the decades period from like the 20s to like now. There's definitely been like lots of big famous artists who all openly admitted, I've got demons in me, or I made a deal with the devil, I signed a contract in blood, and that's how I am famous. And it's like they tell people, and everyone's like, nah, man, you tripping, you know, and they just ignore them, like, oh, you're funny, you're telling a joke, stop being sarcastic, you know, like, and it's kind of, and they're just sat there like, no one believes me. Like, why does no one believe me? Why does everyone just laugh every time I tell them the truth? It's kind of like this, they're trapped in their own psyche because of it. There's nothing they can do. They're in this hell. They're stuck in this perpetual hell of being demonized and like forced to make songs that they just don't want to make, and it's kind of, they can't leave because they get killed. And like they try and tell their best friend next to them, like, man, I've got like this demon's inside of me speaking to me and I'm going insane. And they're like, yeah, man, you're just a good musician. They're just being crazy. Like, you know, that's just who you are. And it's like, no one listens to me. Like, no one's listening. Like, it's losing their minds to the point where they just give into it. And it's watching this documentary, and it's like all these quotes that come up there are just incredible. And I think I just want to share some with you while we're here, just as like a reminder, you know, and just like it's nostalgia for me. This is like old stuff, you know. This is old school conspiracy stuff. I just don't want people to forget. I really don't want them to forget. Like, this is a real phenomenon in the music industry. And I'm going to play first a clip by another one who kind of reminded me of this. And this is from Candid Truth. And they are a regular in this chat, actually. They pop in every now and then. I'm subscribed to them, and they did make this little short that I want to share with you that kind of goes through this, a recent up-and-coming rapper who kind of had this moment that he's just sharing, like candidly just sharing, that we would think is not real, you know, but he's like, nah, this is real, man. Like, this stuff is crazy. So here it is. This is it. I'll just get it lined up here. So again, go check out Candid Truth Official and listen. But this is his take on the clip, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing and just give him a shout out anyway, and go support the guy. But here it is.
Y'all listen to this.
I got booked for a photo shoot. They took me all the way up this mountain. They have OD cars, 3-seater McLaren. They got a Ferrari. And I'm asking them, like, how y'all get all this money? How y'all do this? Like, they like, we do demonic rituals. I'm laughing. No, you don't, bro. I'm like, how you get this money? Don't put me on. I'm trying to get like y'all. So what type of demonic ritual? They say, the Illuminati never talk to you. Oh, for real. Leonardo DiCaprio do all the initiation. He give me a list of people who all did it. I'm gonna keep it PG-13. Either you let them peg you or you do oral, and you'll get whatever you want. Tell them what you want. If you want to be the next big actress, next big whoever, I can take you to somebody. And all you gotta let them do is just do what they want to do to you, just for a night. Do some gay, basically do some gay. I'm like, hell no, you playing. This when they get to laughing, they like, oh, we need to take him to the booty club. Stop playing with me, bro. You're like, bro, I can make it happen. Next, I'm trying to call my Uber. We on top of the mountain though. I don't got no service. The people who booked me, they take off. They was like, man, your flight can take off anyway. That'll just get you a hotel. So I'm telling them, take me down to the bottom of the mountain. The way down, we take a right. So he not going the same way that we came up. He said, we not gonna take you get no McDonald's. We spent all this money to get you up here. This face change, gang. In front of me, you see Venom, OD like long, like the veins, OD long got his face. It was probably about this wide. Face change. I'm like, what? You'll see somebody morph into something. It threw me all the way off. So I'm confused now. I'm like, okay. I didn't know how to get out of the car. I would have been got out of the car. Some mailman come out of nowhere. Bro, just let me get in the back of your truck, bro. Please, just take me down. Take me down to the bottom. Please, just take me down to the bottom. It was God. He took me down to the bottom. As soon as I got up to the top of that mountain, it was something off.
Something wrong.
Yeah. For me to actually see that in my face, that's what like made me know that the devil and God was real.
Look, how many Hollywood insiders have to come out and say, look, I sold my soul to the devil like Kanye West, or lap dance on the devil like Lil Nas X, for us to take this seriously and not say, oh, it's just a metaphor, it's just for shock value. People are coming out like Project Pat. He says, look, I was doing the devil's work. Former 3-6 Mafia member Coops Danica said, I made black people comfortable with 666, and we Christians just want to keep making excuses to keep indulging in this demonic music like a dog returning to its vomit. And this is not some conspiracy theory. Go back to when Jesus was in the wilderness and Satan said, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world, just bow down to me. You think he stopped right there with Jesus? No, he's still offering that offer today. And there are so many people that would be willing to take a deal like that to live like gods on earth. But the Bible says, what profits a man to gain the whole world and lose his very soul? There's nothing more valuable than eternal life in the perfect kingdom with Jesus, and I believe he's coming soon. It's time for us Christians to wake up and stop making excuses to play around.
And yeah, there you go. So yeah, Candy Truth, go check him out. And I appreciate him throwing that clip out. And he was mentioning artists there I know absolutely nothing about. I am not plugged into the modern music industry world whatsoever. I could not give two shits about the people in the industry today and the music that comes out of the mainstream, especially the rap world. I just do not give a... I just don't care. I do not care. And I'm not going to go out there to even look or listen at all. Not interested. So I need people like him out there to show me what's going on, basically, and who's saying what. I don't have my finger on the pulse of that kind of stuff, that kind of nonsense, because it is just distracting nonsense. But I think that little testimony about that rapper there was quite interesting. Is kind of like, he's only young. I think he's like 22 or something. So young and impressionable, taken to the top of a high mountain and basically offered the whole world, just like Jesus was by Satan himself. You know, see all these kingdoms? They can all be yours if you just bow down to me, you know. He was like, nah, bro, I ain't doing that. And it's like he's got to do some gay stuff to get to the top, basically. And those are the stories we've heard, right? We heard about the Diddy parties, you know, and the debauchery they're doing with boiled eggs, you know? And you got pictures of him like with Russell Brand holding an egg, you know. It's like, what an absolute debaucherous... Just what an awful society we live in, and what a terrible things are going on, you know. Absolute just decadence, isn't it? Ridiculous on so many levels. But that's just what it is. That's what's going on, you know. And I think, again, it harkened back to, we've come a long way from they sold their souls for rock and roll, man. Back in the day, they were just literally saying to the devil, like, I'll do what you want as long as I get to be rich and famous. Now they've got to do some gay stuff as well to get there, it seems. It's just thrown in with a package deal now. It seems like the more old school sellouts didn't have to do that kind of stuff and think, yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's just where we are, I suppose. But let's look at another clip from They Sold Their Souls for Rock and Roll, just for posterity, just for good measure. And I found one here, which is talking about Jimi Hendrix and just the things he's actually said himself, you know. I'll play a quick clip from this just for you guys, so we'll share the screen. And let me just press play.
He believed that he was possessed by some spirit, and I got to believe it myself. And that's what we had to deal with all the time. And he was very humble about discussing it with people because he didn't want people to feel like he was being pretentious and so on. But he really believed it, and he was wrestling with it constantly.
Jimi Hendrix's live-in girlfriend, Fane Pridgeon, also spoke of Hendrix's admission to being demon-possessed and related his demon possession to the reception of his music.
He used to always talk about some devil or something was in him, you know, and he didn't have any control over it. He didn't know what made him act the way he acted and what made him say the things he said, and songs and different things like that just come out of him, you know. But at first I used to think it was a cop-out when he had really done me in, right? And he'd say, I don't know what come over me, you know. I really can't understand it. And, you know, he used to just, you know, grab his hair or something, or put his hand, or stand in the mirror or cry or something. Oh, Lord, it was so sad when he would cry. Maybe he was the first man maybe the only man that I've ever seen cry, you know, but it just killed me when he cried because he felt like, it seems like to me he was so tormented and just torn apart, and like he really was obsessed, you know, with something really evil, you know. And he said, you know, like, you're from Georgia, you know, he said, I should know how, you know, people drive demons out. He actually thought about, you know, if we ever go, because I used to talk about my grandmother and all her weird stuff, you know, and he used to talk about us going down there and having some root lady or somebody see if she could drive this demon out of him.
So there you go. Like, it's some of his closest friends are saying, yeah, he tells us all the time he's possessed by demons. Like, it's just a Tuesday for old Jimmy, you know. It's just pretty normal stuff. And all of his friends around him are like laughing. It's like, oh, Jimmy, you crazy so-and-so. You want to get, yeah, we're going to get some demons out of you. I'll take you to see my grandma. Oh, you're so funny. You're so silly, you know. And she's like, yeah, I used to see him cry. And it's like, oh, I'll just be so sad watching this guy cry. So there's something about demons. I don't really know. The guy was screaming for help, you know. He was desperate to get out of this hell he created for himself. And he just didn't know how. No one would listen. Everyone around him just thought he was crazy or making it up. And if only he was around today during this time of a revival of the truth and conspiracy culture, we would have listened. We would have said, Jimmy, man, like, come to us, we'll deliver you. We'll do what we can. We'll pray over you. We'll cast these demons out, you know. But in this time, in like 1974, this kind of stuff was just kind of like unheard of, unknown, not really thought about, not really in the consciousness of people's minds as much as it would be today. I don't think people really thought about it then. They were just living in the post-war nihilistic, live for your moment, live for yourself kind of ideology, you know, because after the horrors of that time and the absolute just, you know, Christianity wasn't really something that was popular after the war. The optimism of Christianity disappeared. You know, it really did. Like, and it was, everyone thought after the horrors of what we just witnessed in these two world wars where millions of people are dead, and it was Christian nations against Christian nations. And trust me, there's a lot to be said about how that all really went down and what was really going on there and who's really responsible. Trust me, I know all of that. But in the consciousness of the public who were under all of that nonsense, you know, and that the realities of the death toll, I think people were disillusioned with God and Christianity and kind of fell into decadence and hedonism and nihilism. And the 70s was that full swing version of it. The 60s and 70s was the amalgamation of it. And I think demonic possession was everywhere and rife, especially in these musicians who were out there influencing people who were just living for themselves on the day-to-day, hour-to-hour moment basis. And I think if someone did say, I think I got demons in me, they would have gone, man, you're just tripping. What you've been smoking? You know, you've been taking too many tablets of acid. It kind of was just a bit of a, no one thought. No one really cared. It was just nothing, you know, it was just normal and silly, and he must just be having a good joke. No one believes that kind of stuff anymore, you know. And then I think throughout the 80s and the 90s and to today, I think we've been seeing this slow emergence of new generations coming back to basics and back to Christ and back to the truth in God, and realizing we can't fill that hole in us, that God-shaped hole, with anything else. And we need to confront our own evil and not blame God for all the bad things people have been doing, you know, and I think that's kind of where we're at now in a way. Sets the guitar aflame. What a showman, says Granola Grin. Well, yeah, you know, what a waste of a guitar as well. Whatever. Let's keep going. There's more in this. I think he talks about the guy from The Doors as well, who was just twitching like like he was demon possessed all the time. Like literally just twitching like those who doing like Kundalini energy rituals or serpent possession rituals and stuff. Is it here? Is this the scene I'm looking for? Let's have a look. Hang on. Share the screen with you guys again.
Up to the spirit world and let the demons use his body. Historically, Satan and demons have used shamans to influence primitive tribes throughout the world. This is similar to the shamanistic dances done by shamans, witch doctors, and voodoo priests throughout human history. The only difference is that Jim Morrison was not simply influencing one tribe, but his music has been used to influence generations and the masses. Like voodoo priests who become possessed as they surrender their bodies to the demonic beings, Jim Morrison exhibited very similar behavior throughout his performance.
I'm the only one who thinks that music is just hot garbage and absolute cringe. Like, what the hell was that? Does anyone know what he just said? I don't. Like, that looked awful. That looked terrible. Like, people in the 70s had shit idols. They were really bad, weren't they? They were just crap. Like, what was that? What the hell was that? I don't know. But yeah, clearly there was some demon possessed nonsense is what I'm seeing there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it, man. I don't care about famous bands or people. I've just never followed or cared about anything like that. I just don't get the appeal why people worship people like this. It's beyond me on many levels. It truly is. Anyway, if you haven't seen They Sold Their Soul for Rock and Roll, honestly, that guy goes through like hundreds of artists throughout the decades and how they're all just basically saying, yeah, we're possessed by demons. Every single one of them. They're all just possessed by demons. Hands down, 100%, demon possessed, bro. Simple. I mean, there's loads of compilations online. You can find this. Celebrities admitting deal with devil. Okay, I'll just type this into Google because I know videos are going to come up. And there's actually so many celebrities that have admitted that, like, openly recently, yeah, we work with the devil. You know, yeah, I sold my soul to the devil. That's what I've done. Was it celebrities admitting they sold their souls? We'll probably come up with more hits than that. What have I got here? What have I got? Deal with the Devil. There's a documentary about it. I'm going to have to watch that. A Brief Musical History. A Deal with the Devil. Artists admit they sold their soul to the devil in HD. Shall we just watch some of these and let's just see what comes up? Like, again, I'm just picking a random one here. It's easily done. Look, artists admit they sold their souls 7 years ago.
I had to ask some friends because I was hearing a lot about her, and so they told me, you know, who she was and what she was doing. And I come from the school of thought there's just some things that the public just shouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, things that happen between two people, a wife and a husband, girl, I just don't think that it's for mass consumption. I just have always felt that way. And I just think that the whole idea of celebrity and fame has become really convoluted and, you know, kind of bastardized. Like, whereas fame used to be the byproduct of success, and now it's the ultimate goal. And if your ultimate goal is to be famous, then you're gonna do a lot to get there, like sign your name in blood in a contract with the devil. Like, you're gonna end up on a one-way street and it's going nowhere. Like, that's just the truth. I've seen so many people, like, forsake their moral code and their value systems just for a little bit of fame, and it's not worth it at the end of the day. It's really not.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. This it came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
The very first album I ever bought was the Incubus album that had Pardon Me on it, because I wasn't really allowed to listen to a whole lot of music growing up. I grew up in a really strict household. Both my parents are traveling ministers, so MTV and everything else was really fused. All y'all were on block. I never saw any music videos or anything, unfortunately, but I remember bringing it home. It was kind of like an Almost Famous moment. I had to smuggle it in my knapsack, going directly into my room, and then pulling it out. And as I was pulling out the CD, well, needless to say, sold my soul.
You're doing really well now, but didn't you release a CD almost 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
And I remember one day coming from the studio at 6 o'clock in the morning, and pulling over on the highway. Be like 4 cars, you know, just to watch the sunrise. And it was at that point that I fell in love with Arizona. I said, you know what, this has to be God's country, you know, because I'd never seen anything as beautiful as that sunrise. Then I met the devil in God's country, you know, and it's not so much who, it's what, you know, what happens and the things that the devil does. It's not so much a person, even though he acts through people. You know, you can't call one person the devil.
Joe Arpaio?
You know, you can't call any one person the devil. You can't.
You know, I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with you know, with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Yeah, so there you go. Again, these are classic interviews. They're all over the place, and then the compilations galore have been made of just these artists basically going like, yeah, I made a deal with the devil. That's how I got here. And it's kind of, no one believes them. It's kind of like, I can keep telling you, and you'll all just say I'm being sarcastic, or I'm making a joke or something, or it's rhetoric, you know, and it's metaphor. But no, I really did. Like, I signed a contract in blood, and it's kind of like, oh, you're crazy, you know. Crazy artists out there just doing crazy things as usual, saying the craziest stuff, you know. But no, these guys are deadly serious. Like, they really are giving themselves over to a system in a way and saying, make me famous and use me for whatever you want. And these are the people who end up singing the songs that are written for them. And the songs written for them have agendas interlaced within them. The music videos created for these songs are packed with symbolisms and imagery and ideas that degrade and make people weaker and lesser, and idolize and fantasize and focus on things that make them less and weaker and more degraded. And they will play the role, sing the song that they were given to sing, and stand where they need to stand on the X, wearing whatever costume is given to them, because they get given money and fame and adulation as a reward. But that's the contract, that's the deal. And while they're at it, and while they're doing these things and indulging in the excesses of their rewards, they usually end up doing disgusting, perverted, weird stuff, thinking they're safe. That gets recorded, put on record, and then as soon as they step out of line and say, I don't think I want to do this anymore, and their conscience kicks in, the people who control them say, no, you signed a contract, and if you break that contract, or you say anything about what's really going on here, or you want to leave, then I release that video of you doing that horrible thing to that person I saw you do at that party. Yeah, we recorded it. Look, you want to see it? There it is right there. Do you want the people seeing this? Do you think the image we've made of you over the years, where people think you're this beautiful person with this beautiful personality, with this amazing talent, overnight destroyed if they see this? And we'll do it. So you better put on the costume and get on the X and sing the damn song. That's where they are. They're trapped. They're stuck. They're in hell. Because they made that deal. And from that other rapper at the start we showed, these guys are literally demonic, morphing in front of him, like the demons within them come out type of situation. It's a horrible demonic industry. And you saw Bob Dylan still working into his 80s, looking disheveled and wrinkled and tired. He's like, I'm just here keeping up my end of the bargain. You know, I made a deal years ago, and I can't stop. You know, I just got to do this till I'm dead. You know, like that's basically what he's saying. And that's why you have these actors, these musicians from the 70s and the 80s, these rock musicians who were still playing well into the 90s and their 80s, and it's kind of like, just go and be with your grandkids, you know, retire. Haven't you earned enough? Haven't you earned enough money? Can you not just stop touring and go and enjoy the fruits of your labor? It's like, no, we can't stop, or they kill us. If we stop, they release the videos. If we stop, we're no longer an asset, we're a liability, because we know too much. So if we're not working for them, then we're against them. We've seen too many things. We know how things really work. And if we aren't showing allegiance by doing the shows and singing the songs and putting on the performances anymore, then they're just going to look at us as our time is up. They know too much. We've got to get rid of them before they get a conscience in their old age and start writing their memoirs. Like, they kill them, they just kill them off. And they look like natural causes, of course, a heart attack or whatever, or old age. Like, so, they were old, of course, the heart was going to stop eventually. Something like that will happen to them. And they live in fear, so they carry on endlessly in a loop, trapped forever in a hell they created for themselves because they made some bad decisions when they were young, basically. And look, what profit a man who gained the whole world but loses his soul is true. It's like, yeah, I implore anybody who's stuck in that world, I know you fear for your life, but God's got your back if you give yourself over to him. And these people they may take your life, they may torture you and punish you and do all sorts of horrible things to you. I'm not going to say that's not the case, but your eternity is at stake here, and it's not too late. And a lot of what these people who have power over these musicians say, a lot of it is just words. It's fear that keeps you in line. And it's kind of, look, yeah, let them release the tape and own up to it and say, I did do that. That is who I was and what I did. That's the type of life that industry leads you to be and live and do. And I'm here to tell you now, don't do it. Don't give in. Don't sign the contract. Don't play their games. Be honest, tell the truth. I think you'll be surprised that the public will not just hate you and tarnish you and say how disgusting that you did that thing. I can't believe you did that. As long as you're open and honest about the situation and where you are now, and you're repentant and want to change and honestly want to help people not go down the same route you went down, people will highly respect the bravery and honesty to do such a thing. Because who the hell hasn't sinned in this world and done something horrible and terrible? Who hasn't? A lot of people might like to hide it and pretend they haven't. And will judge others, like judge them for the speck in their eyes before pulling out the log in their own type of situation. But that's just the world we live in. And I think you'll find if these celebrities did come forward, regardless of the shit they've got on them, I think that'll stand higher in terms of regards from the general public than anything else, than continuing peddling garbage that's killing us, basically, That's my 2 cents on the music industry. The deal is real and it's a shit deal. It's a crap deal. Don't take it. It's not worth it. You can do your own thing. You can build your own communities. You don't need their labels. You don't need their infrastructure to get famous and get out there. And the fame they're offering is manufactured. You will not get to be your true authentic self. You will not get to make the music you want to make. And if you go out there and make who you are and what you want to be and never play their game or get involved in their systems or take their deals to get to levels that of astronomical fame, but at the same time, like, you don't even get to be the musician you wanted to be, like, is it even worth it? Go play the small gigs, build communities, build your own communities, start your own labels, start your own YouTube channels, spread, network, and get it out there. Put in the work, put in the effort. And if you have talent and skill that people want to listen to, they'll listen to it. You don't need their industries. You don't need them. Build your own. Like, come talk with me instead. Find the platforms. Find the people who care. Like, we're out there. We're here. We don't need them. We don't need their systems. That's kind of my, again, optimistic ending take on that particular diatribe. So there you go. I've been going for almost 2 hours. I'm at 1 hour 48 already. Wow, how the time flies. I'm just going to take a quick break to get a drink. I'll play for you guys. What have I got here? Let me have a look what I've got. That's just I'll play the promo again for my talk with Hunter Tyler. So enjoy this just for a quick minute while I get a quick drink of water.
You can get your ego sucked into it. It can start to feed you like a monster. I was shocked to realize that people thought that I was the character. And I pulled him aside and I said, what's going on with this script? Why am I completely naked? That is not what I auditioned for. I'd already caught him in several lies, and he managed to get me fired off all my children. These people have been conditioned to identify with me in such a way that it's almost Pavlovian. It's not worth stooping to levels just to have money and things that you later will regret.
But of course, that is not coming soon. It's out already on Understanding Creativity, so go and check that out If you haven't already, guys, I think you'll find this fascinating. Maybe go there straight after this and go watch it. If you just want some more behind the scenes, what it's like to be in the industry stuff. It was an interesting conversation there about her experience meeting Steven Seagal, which I thought was quite telling. Very, very, very interesting part of the conversation, which you might like as well. It's kind of comedic as well in a way. What it was like to meet such a guy. You'll see. What's going on here as well? We've got people in the chat. We've got Granola Grin still in the house. We've got Golden Fern here. Great to see you. Did you win, Golden Fern, the book deal last time? Was that you? I think it was, wasn't it? Congratulations on that win. Was it Golden Fern? Yeah, you did win one of them. I think you did. Am I just remembering something else now? I don't know. Donna Smith here. Great to see you. We got Wendy, the moderator galore's in the house as well. She's made it back. Someone's asking me about my logo. Yes, I have a video explaining where the inspiration for all this came from. But just like this logo, for example, is for understanding creativity, I have stuff relating to creativity in the logo because that's what we're going to understand. It's the same for my current logo. We're going to understand conspiracy. So I have images and symbols relating to the conspiracy you need to understand, all kind of mashed together into one logo. So we've got sacred geometry, we've got the Star of Remphan, the Jewish star, the tetrahedron, the sacred geometry that goes involved with the Kabbalah stuff behind the scenes, because we all know who really rules this behind the scenes, don't we? And we got the cube of Saturn, the sun symbolism, the son of Saturn, we got the war symbolism, the red dot there, we've got Mars involved, we've got Venus with the blue there, we've got all the planets involved as well. Just a lot of conspiracy stuff all kind of mashed together into one amalgamed logo, because we are going to break it down and we're going to understand the conspiracy. And that is all the thought that went into it. There's nothing else. There's some inspiration for the imagery from Symbols of an Alien Sky documentary by David Talbot, which if you haven't heard of that, go watch that if you're wondering. And kind of there was an alignment of the planets from an ancient past in that documentary, and he showed what it would have looked like. And it kind of came together like you see in this logo with Mars, Venus, and Saturn. And whether that even happened or not, or it's true, I don't really know. But I thought the alignment was a perfect way of kind of bringing together the whole symbol, and I kind of riffed off that a little bit to create what you see here, and that's it. So no, I'm not bearing the Star of Remphan because I am secretly a hidden shill who's a Zionist something or other, Kabbalah something or other. No, I'm an open Christian. I profess my mouth Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and he's yours too. And I made the symbol because that's what we're discussing, that's what we're exposing, that's what we're understanding. And I thought my audience would understand nuance, but when I made this, I had no subscribers 14 years ago. I didn't think much of it. Okay, I didn't think it would go anywhere. But here I am now with almost 100,000 subscribers, and everyone thinks I'm some sort of evil, satanic, deceiving shill who has bad intentions. But I would say, have I said or done anything in this live show that makes you think that? What have I possibly said or done that would even give you that impression? If you're getting all of that just from a circular logo, I think you need to go and get your head checked personally. It's, one logo does not a Satanist make. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. There's my take on it. I just got gifted an entry, says Golden Fern. Fair enough. Well, maybe you'll win next time. Maybe I'll do another one soon. But yeah, there you go. The cube should be black like the Kaaba. Maybe, but I don't think it would have looked as cool. I don't know how to. I think aesthetically speaking, I think this looks a lot better. We got Carl Somers talking about cannabis. I have a few episodes and videos on what I think of that. I make one every 6 months or so just to remind people. Look, I'm not like massively anti-cannabis or anything, like in the way a lot of people are. I used to smoke a lot of it myself back in the day. But maybe there comes a point where you have to ask yourself, or be honest with yourself sincerely, are you in control anymore, or is the cannabis controlling you? Like, when you wake up every day, are you going straight for the cannabis, or are you only ever thinking about where you're going to get more cannabis from when you run out? Or when you're working all day, are you only ever thinking about getting home and sparking up another joint? If that's where you're at, and that's what your day-to-day is, then you are not in control anymore. It's not just something you do every now and then when you feel like it, to have that moment of peace or relaxation or connection to God or whatever you claim you're doing it for. if you're living and smoking constantly and being sober is actually the trip, you are not in control anymore. And I think you need to reconsider whether or not it's what's best for you right now. Or maybe a good detox is in order. That's just my take on it. That's all I'll say. Thank you, especially for the Hunter interview. She's been through so much, says 1000 Aces. Absolutely. We're on to you, Paul, says Soldier for Yahweh. You got me. I'm one of them. There you go. Someone's going to clip that out of context and use it as well, like they always do. You can't win. I can't win. No, I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to change I'll just change my entire, what do you call it again? Logo, theming, everything like that for the channel. I'm just going to change it all now because somebody out there just doesn't understand nuance. That's it. Yeah, right. Hi all, we've got Steve Oz, we've got Julian here as well. New here, I like your stuff, found you from JT, says Julian. Well, thanks for being here. Yeah, JT's a cool guy. I've not talked to him in a while. He's still doing his own thing, I'm doing mine. Maybe we'll have to connect again soon and have another conversation. I think last time I talked to him it was about Lego and the Little Season symbolism that was in there. I think that's what we talked about last. Right, guys, I could keep going through the chat here, but I have reached the 2-hour mark in about 4 minutes, so I'm going to leave it there and round up the show now. I hope you enjoy my random ramblings. It's a pleasure to be here, as always. I do enjoy it myself. I need to get this off my chest. I'll be back on Sunday for the Truther Therapy sessions. I have a couple of people that I think want to call in and just share some of their stuff as well and their own thoughts and ideas. It's never a dull moment. I think it's nice when people message me and I see them in the chat and then they actually come on and I talk to them and see them as a person. And it's a healthy reminder that these names I see in the chat, all of you here now, the 253 people sat here watching and the people talking, these are not just words. These are people behind these words. Unless you're a bot, and I'm sure maybe 60% of these people are probably bots in reality now, the dead internet theory and the rest of it. But most of these ats I see here are actually just human beings. And it's nice when I actually hear them talk and it really, really hits home that idea that this person has lived a life, has experiences to share and is just like the rest of us. And that's really what I want people to see. Conspiracy theorists are just people. Just like the rest of us, Some of you out there are completely unhinged and detached from reality and need to come back down to earth a little bit, don't get me wrong. But most of you out there are a good bunch and I appreciate you all. And maybe if you're interested in being a caller on the Truth of Therapy sessions this Sunday, email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com to share your story or something you're interested in speaking about. Just message me and we'll see if we can get you on the live show for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just to have your say and your moment. And you'll be surprised, but you talking about your experiences helps a lot of people. So please think about it. If you're interested, guys, please consider being a caller. Email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com and we'll get that arranged and we'll get you a time slot for the Sunday show, which is at 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I think that's 3 p.m. Central, and I think it's 1 p.m. Pacific. Just for people to know. And if you're Australian or anywhere else in the world, I don't care. I don't know. You're not my main demographic anyway. And I'm not going to learn every time zone in the bloody world for you. But there you go. There you go. Figure it out for yourself. You've all got Google. So there we go. Right, guys. And again, if you want a signed copy of the Nephilim that Look Like Clowns, email me. 2 hardcovers, 2 paperbacks left. And we can get that sorted as well with a free audiobook if you're in the UK or America with that purchase. If you just want to go to Amazon, you can get yourself a copy there as well. And the audiobook is on Audible too. Consider becoming a patron. All stuff goes on the early access before release to the public. Everything I do that is recorded with interviews or so forth goes on there as early access stuff, as a bit of extra, and the odd thing goes on there as well, be some behind the scenes things that the public won't see does go on there too. So there's lots of extra things to check out on Patreon if you haven't already. It's a good way to support me as well with minimal fees from Patreon themselves, because I am on the old legacy creator subscription apparently, and they only take 5% rather than the current 20% new subscribers have to do. So I'm lucky. And that is a good way to support me if you're interested. I think that's all I've got, guys, to close out the show. I'll be back with you on Sunday. You may see a few clips from this show later in the week as well, just to flesh out the week. But yeah, guys, I'm going to have to leave it there. Thanks for listening. And as always, God bless.